that's privacy problems in real life. I mean, I can go buy your data, and it's everybody who can do that. So this is really scary.
Conversation with a hacker, an interview between Greg and Lewis about privacy, security, and other mysteries. No bullshit.
Cool. All right.
So let's go a little about mass targeted attacks. The first one is I'm going to collect data out of the GSM network. So basically, this is if you have a phone number, they're going to do it. So that's done by the ISPs, and they will keep your data for a long time. Is required by them by law, and etc. etc. These involve your position, who you call, and who you text, and the content of your text. So that's the data they collect. So they collect it on a mass scale on everybody. So the best way to protect yourself from this kind of attack is just to use communication apps that communicate on the network, and don't call somebody using GSM, or don't send a text using the simple SMS. Use an app like a Signal, because it's not going to be logged on the GSM network. Second point is mass surveillance on the mass targeted attacks. That's done by governments, and they scan basically the entirety of internet and of the calls and everything. They listen to everything. So the only way you can protect yourself is use tools that are end-to-end encrypted. So that works quite well, and it will protect you from mass surveillance. And you have a third one, which is quite complex. It's data collection. So basically, your phone is always sending a lot of information to a lot of companies. So that's privacy issues. So the data goes out of your phone, gigabytes of data every day, and you don't know where or how. So people feel safe because they never see, or they don't know how to get access to this data, but it's really quite easy and everybody can do it. So this data goes through different companies, and then the companies sell it to data brokers. So you have a vast network of data brokers. And these data brokers, they amass, collect the information, and then they sell it back. You, as a customer, cannot access the data brokers. However, there is a range of companies that can do it. One famous kind of company who can do that is called a background check company. So basically, you want a background check on somebody. You go to the company, you give them information on the people you want to have checked, name, if you have a phone number, everything that can identify them. And they're going to go in all their different databases and pull out a 500 pages document with everything on you. This information comes from your phone, from your social network, from what you did, etc. So yes, everybody can access the information that your phone sends, that all the apps you install into collect and send without you knowing at all. And it's really cheap. It's 50, 100 euros, so everybody can afford to buy one on somebody. So the best way to protect yourself from data collection is, I recommend, do not use a smartphone. If you cannot remove your phone, which I believe you can, but if you don't want to, I advise you to use like more privacy-oriented phones. Always favor Apple over Google. Less security issues and everything. Google's collect a lot of information. Apple little less. If you go for Google, always go for pure version of Google. It's always better. A phone bought from Google. Samsung use Android, but your data is going to go through Samsung and then through Google. At least if you buy a phone from Google, you will only have your data go through Google. So you will remove a company. So yeah, and after you have like more privacy-oriented phones, like Librem 5, and for example, they went out PinePhone. So the Linux phones, quite private. Security-wise, I don't know that much, because the less people that are working on it, the less secure it will be, because less people are going to hack it, so they will not be able to discover new flaws. But that's another problem. I mean, using this phone will protect you from data collection. Also, something quite important is the apps you install on your phone. If you install apps like Facebook, they're going to collect a lot of data. Even when you're not using Facebook, they will collect a lot of data. So try not to install apps that you know are selling data or have problem with privacy.
I think so. For a lot of people, instinctively, when they think about attacks, they don't necessarily think about things like data collection, in the sense that we see the attacker as this guy with a hoodie or whatever in this underground garage, and he hacks you. That's what I think a lot of people see as an attack, rather than an indirect attack, which means what basically you were mentioning. So my data being collected from companies not respecting my privacy, and then through third parties, my data is getting out.
Yeah, but the end result is the same. I mean, you still access to the data, and you can do a lot of things with the data. Anybody can access your data. If I have to pay a background check company to access your data because you bought a phone from Google, Google collected all your information while you were using it on the server, and then they sold it to a data broker, and the data broker sold it to the background check company. I don't even have to hack your phone. I will just go buy the data from the background check company and have access to everything I need. So that is a big problem, is hacking your phone, in the majority of the case, is to get access to information. When you read, actually nobody reads the privacy policies, but if you do, you will see that basically your data goes everywhere and they can do whatever they want with it. And you agree to that. The privacy policies in terms of use are contracts that you signed. So yeah, you gave away your information. The only thing is you gave away your information because you thought few people can access it, and it didn't have any consequences on you, which is wrong, because anybody can access it. And it can have a lot of consequences on you. That's privacy problems in real life. I mean, I can go buy your data. It's everybody who can do that. So this is really scary. And even if you buy a phone from a very safe company and everything, if they're selling you data, you cannot do anything about it. And data is worth a lot of money. So a lot of people are doing it. So to prevent yourself from these mass targeted attacks, so basically the point of the mass targeted attacks when on a phone is to grab the most information possible, is use private tools all the time. Like, for example, instead of using WhatsApp, use Signal, which is a private, it's the same thing but private. And use VPNs, that helps a lot. We will talk more in another episode about VPNs and why you should use them. They're not foolproof, but they will help you a lot on the data collection. We'll also talk about that in the data broker episode, but Facebook, it grabs a lot more information than what you put in. If you go on a website and they have a like button or share button from Facebook, Facebook has access to this information, and it will log on your profile in the database. You cannot access this information, but in the database, the web page you visited will be in your profile. So they grab a lot of information outside you using their website. And what is funny and also very scary is the first time you connect to Facebook and you create an account, they're going to show you your friends in real life. Because basically they had a shadow profile on you, so they had a profile without a name, and they already mapped a lot of your behavior, so they already know a lot of information, and that's why when you log in, they show you your real friends in real life without you having entering anything. It's because of all this data collection they do.
Yeah, the more data gets out, the more you should be worried.
I think people gave up their privacy simply because first one, they didn't see that their privacy were invaded. If you have somebody 24/7 next to you with a camera recording, you're going to see your privacy going away, and it's going to feel weird. But actually, this is what is happening today. But the cameraman is invisible, so you don't see it, so you feel safe, but you're not. And the second thing is they thought that very few people can access this data. So they were, okay, very few people can access this data. So even if my privacy got breached, it's okay because I don't notice people, they don't care about me. But no, actually, data is being sold. So people who are going to buy the data are going to have an interest on you. It can be a lot of things. Only the imagination is the limit of this kind of attacks. But information is quite useful, especially when you want to control people.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people need to remember that a private company doesn't necessarily have your best interest at heart. You have to be careful. regardless of how famous they are.
Especially if you don't pay. If you pay, they will have less incentive, but company where you pay still sell you data. The only people that don't sell you data are privacy-focused company. So always go for privacy-focused tools. Not all tools are made equal. So some privacy-focused company, unfortunately, are undercover governmental agents or these kind of things. So you have to be careful which one you use. But from a general standpoint, you will always be safer going for a privacy tool than a normal company.
Yeah. Okay. To come back to what you were saying about these mass targeted attacks, so you divide them into three, correct?
Yes. So first one is GSM attack. These are going to be more the ISP collecting data. So that's quite easy to evade. Just use internet for your communication, and especially use internet over a VPN, something so that will prevent ISPs from collecting your data. The second is mass surveillance. Mass surveillance is bypassed by end-to-end encryption. And the third one is data collection. Data collection is trickier because it's depending on what phone you have. It can be the entire phone giving up data, like Android to Google, or less, just the apps. Like on Apple devices, you have social apps that give a lot of information. So try to use private apps, end-to-end encryption, VPNs, and always communicate over internet, over VPN. So that's going to prevent you like a lot of the mass targeted attacks.
Cool.
Subscribe to the podcast and stay tuned for next week's episode on Conversation with a Hacker.